Good morning from a cold but bright and dry sunny southern England. Today, before the other parts for Black Betty arrive, I'm going to be draining and refilling both the gearbox oil and the rear differential oil, because who knows when last those were done, if ever. And I'm using 75W85 for the front gearbox and diff, and for the rear I'm using 80W90, because if it's good enough for Pedro the Panda, it's certainly good enough for Black Betty. So I'm just going to crack on and do that, drain them, fill them, and then hopefully by then I will have some more parts arrive and I can get back underneath Black Betty here and fit new wishbones and all the rest of it. So this is the rear differential on my 1.2 4x4 Panda, and this is the filler plug and that is the drain plug. Now I was expecting to see the normal sunken Allen socket type plugs, but it seems as if this rear diff on my model is different to others that I've seen on YouTube. So if yours looks like this, it's okay. I have checked the other side, of course, and these seem the obvious fill and exit points. So to be sure that I can drain and fill this, I'm going to take off the filler plug first, just to make sure that if I drain it I can actually fill it up again. So I'm going to take that one off first, and then that one over there, and thankfully there's just enough clearance to get the drain bucket underneath there, which is marvelous. So let's get on with that. So that is the rear diff drained now. You can tell gearbox oil from normal oil because gearbox oil absolutely stinks. So I've nipped that drain plug up and I've left the filler hole open. I'm going to use this little tool over here. Basically you just suction the oil out of there into here. It's about 1 litre, and then fill up the rear diff until it slightly overflows from the filler plug, and then you know you got enough in there. So place this into the filler hole like that, and then just push it all in. It's like a big syringe. Just going to clean this just to see whether it's the dip, just to see whether it's the diff that's overflowing or whether it's just in fact the oil that's on the tube. So I'm going to give the tube a wipe, insert this in again, right, pretty sure that is the actual diff overflowing right now. Let's check. Yep. Grab my drain plug and put that in there. Like that. Nice. Well, that was a 5-minute job. That was actually a 5-minute job. Just gonna nip this up. There we go. Right, onto the front. So that stuck gearbox drain plug is only supposed to be tightened up to either 20 or 25 Newton meters, which is probably a little bit more than finger tight if you put it that way in relative terms. That is a heck of a lot tighter than what it should be. If you want to know what the correct torque settings should be in foot-pounds or Newton meters for different bolts, just have a look on the Fiat Forum website. There are lots of downloadable guides for all of the bolts that you might find that you need to loosen and tighten up again. Never just make things as tight as possible, because you create a problem for yourself in future or any successive or subsequent owner. Anyway, just a heads up. Thanks to fiatforum.co.uk for being such a great, valuable resource. Anyway, what a waste of time this is now because of that. Here we are underneath the front gearbox. That is the drive shaft over there and the end of the gearbox. Now the filler plug is up there on the front, and then the drain plug is down there on the bottom of the actual right angled differential gear. So I will loosen both first, like I said, to make sure that I can fill it up if I drain it. So the first one I will take off is this one over here, and then I will drain everything from that plug over there. So that is the drain plug over there. Okay, so I think I'm going to need to clean that out a little bit. This is a normal sunken Allen bolt, the same as what's up front here. Right, let's see what fits. This is an 8mm or an H8. That seems to be quite a decent fit. Just trying different size Allen heads here. Right, okay, so that is a classic car driving past. So this is a 12mm up front and an 8mm down at the bottom. Let's loosen the front first. I'm pretty sure many a mechanic or amateur mechanic as well has been caught out by loosening the drain plug, draining all the oil out of a gearbox, and then finding that they couldn't top it up again. Right, so these are not very tight, which is great. Also, by removing this will help the oil drain a little bit quicker. Right, so that is out, and it has no residue on it, no little iron filings or anything, but there is very little evidence on that this was actually getting wet with gearbox oil, which means it might be a little bit low. Right, make sure that's square. I just need to make sure that I can actually get the drain underneath here when I need to. No, it's not going to fit, is it? I have got a low level drain pan. Oh great, another over tightened bolt. Right, this is on its way to stripping because the socket is moving but the drain plug is not, which means it's been radically over tightened. I have to be very careful now. Right, so I'm gonna have to lubricate this. The other problem is, of course, that if this gets damaged now, removing it, I will not be able to fill this drain hole again. So I'm going to have to see if I can get a replacement drain plug. But before I continue with this, I'm going to make 100% sure I can get another one of those drain plugs before I proceed. So back in 5. So I've just had a look on the interweb and ordered myself another drain plug because I suspect that this is going to get destroyed trying to get it out. And if I get it out and it's destroyed and I don't have a replacement that fits, this vehicle is immobile until I find one. So I'm just going to leave it as it is for now, leave this locked in place, because if I remove it, it's going to damage that sunken Allen even more. And I'm going to have a cup of tea while I wait for another parts delivery.
3 days later.
I've managed to crack that drain plug. I should be able to get it out of there now. So I have bought a new one, which I'm hoping is going to fit. It doesn't look too bad. Stinks to high heaven, that stuff, my gosh. I've got my gearbox drain plug here, which is a T50 Torx, not a 8mm Allen, which is rather interesting. So I'm going to insert that into there, my big syringe, and then keep squeezing until I start to see some fluid. Wow. Now this excess that's coming out of there now is not actually from inside the gearbox, it's just from the tube. Now I haven't been able to completely establish how many liters is required for this gearbox final drive, gearbox and differential. It's varied between 1.6 to 2.9, and the manual itself says 1.6, and that's taken a lot more than 1.6 at this moment, probably close on 2 liters now. So I'm going to keep going. Okay, let's do the final push. There we go. I've now got it full. That took, golly, a lot more than I anticipated. I'll tell you in a moment how much more. 2.7 liters to fill that up to overflowing. So yeah, for future reference, that's what you're going to need for the 4x4 1.2 petrol Panda. And that is front and rear gearbox fluids done. Now that I've done the front and rear differentials and gearbox, I'm just going to pop the front wheels back on before I put the drive shaft in, because I want to drive the Panda 4x4 up onto the ramps so I have better access and easier access to fit the prop shaft. Plus I want to test drive it to make sure that I've eliminated all of the knocks. So here we go. Well, you can hear there's definitely still quite a bad knock. The only thing left on the suspension to change are the top mounts. Hopefully this afternoon I'll be able to remove the front struts and disassemble them, and then when the new top mounts arrive, fit those. Because I have to take those struts off, I am tempted to replace those struts and possibly add a lift kit at the same time. Project cars, eh? Alright, catch up with you on the next video. Smash the thumbs up button, please hit subscribe, and yeah, tune into the next video about what happens to Black Betty, the little 4x4 Fiat Panda. Happy days.